When The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was released, it garnered widespread acclaim. Many felt it was the best game of the decade or ever created. Breath of the Wild stuck with several people as they explored every inch of Hyrule. Though many loved Breath of the Wild, others felt the game wasn't good at all. Even fans of the previous Zelda titles felt Breath of the Wild no longer had the magic the series originally had because of the new direction the creators went with. And it's fine if many felt that way as well. One aspect, agreed upon by those who like the game, and others who do not, is feeling that the narrative was weak. An opinion many had was that the story failed to be compelling. I'll even admit that when I first saw Breath of the Wild's story, I was underwhelmed as well. It felt like something was missing. However, as I revisited the story, I no longer held the opinion I once had. I now feel it was truly compelling and honestly beautiful. To me, it was a masterpiece. Just like any story, I can't say it's objectively good. We all have different tastes in what we find to be good or bad in media. All I would like to do is express my view regarding why I find the story to be well done. To give a little background on the reason why some didn't like Breath of the Wild's story. One of the reasons is due to the general freedom of the game. In Breath of the Wild, you did not have to focus on the narrative after getting off the Great Plateau. As a result, many felt it lacked urgency by being able to ignore the story that was portrayed as crucial and something we should act on right away. This gave the impression that it wasn't important or the game didn't have a narrative. Another view that is mentioned is that some felt the whole story took place in the past. Because of this, it lacks emotional value, and now there's nothing to play that's important, story-wise, in the present. I share a different opinion regarding the topics that were mentioned. In some games, it can be presented that the character needs to follow an imperative situation right away. Instead, we can let the character wait for hours, collect what is not needed to progress through the game, or make the character wander around aimlessly, without a goal. We can choose to disregard the problem and not follow what is instructed for the character to do, allowing us to make our own decisions with what is around us. Whether we take immediate action or not, everything will still play out the way it was scripted to. When we focus on the situation that's constructed in the story as a serious issue, the urgency can be shown. Though some may engage in other activities, it doesn't remove the problematic scenario written in the narrative. After leaving the Great Plateau, we do have the option not to continue the narrative, but it's essential to play through the established story fully to understand the events in Breath of the Wild. And even if you don't want to unlock everything in the main story, the player must travel through aspects of the narrative to gain one unlockable. This also illustrates the story's importance. A part of Breath of the Wild's narrative is about a tragic event known as the Calamity. It's the adventure of Link. After awakening from healing, due to being defeated in the past, he will journey through Hyrule, completing many tasks in the present, growing stronger to defeat Calamity Ganon. From completely destroying the world, the journey to defeat Ganon allows Link to encounter and help characters who are a part of the main missions Link will go to on his adventure. Because of the many characters' expressive personalities, the vibrant colored world, and the lively animals, it's viewed there isn't anything presenting Ganon as a danger, though he is stated to be. But Calamity Ganon desires destruction by wanting monsters to cause harm. When the Blood Moon arrives, many will return from defeat. Some monsters will become stronger because of Ganon's magic. The reason many characters, including Link, are in a troubled position is due to Calamity Ganon's actions. The ruins from the recent calamity, which occurred 100 years ago, were caused by Calamity Ganon. This further illustrates Ganon's desire for destruction. They can also remind us how all of Hyrule will be destroyed if Link doesn't defeat Ganon in the present. The following is how I will proceed with the analysis. In general, I will cover the story's main events and explain them as linearly as possible. I will use translations from Japanese to English for most of the analysis. One of the main themes in Breath of the Wild's story is loss, but getting past the loss. We see this throughout the game's narrative. This theme also ties into the characters, which I hope to cover at a later date. Link's awakening begins by hearing a voice. He will observe his surroundings, conveying some cautiousness. When Link gets up, he focuses on what is called a Sheikah Slate pedestal and goes to it. The voice instructs Link to pick up what is known as a Sheikah Slate, which is a device that will help Link navigate throughout the game, and he will do so. At this point, this is all he can do. I would also like to mention, under the Sheikah Slate description, it is written the slate does feel nostalgic. Because of this, and due to the voice being helpful, these could be the reasons why Link continues to follow the voice. When Link goes outside, it sets up the theme of loss and tells us a lot about the situation that's at hand. Although what we see is vast and beautiful, there is also a melancholic feel. One of the factors that present this is the broken retaining wall in front of Link and the destruction in other areas. When talking to an old man, looking at Link from afar, the old old man comes across as friendly and peaceful. In the conversation with Link, he will laugh and tell him it's unusual for someone to be in such a place as this. Link can ask, "Who are you?" And he will tell Link that he is an eccentric old man who has been here alone for such a long time. The man will state and say, "What are you doing here?" And instead Link asks about the place, which can tell us that Link isn't willing to answer because he is focused on gathering information to understand more about where he is. The man shows no anger and will make note that Link never answered by saying, answering a question with a question. The old man comments on how young people can be so difficult and includes how their meeting must be a kind of fate. He will tell Link, this is the beginning plateau. It's said to be the land where the Hyrule Kingdom originated a long time ago. He later shows Link a building that we would have seen while Link was on the cliff, known as the Temple of Time. It was used for rituals of the kingdom in very ancient times, but since the kingdom was destroyed 100 years ago, it has been abandoned for a long time, left to decay. The Temple of Time is a forgotten place that nobody visits anymore because of what it used to be and what it is now, ruined. With the machines known as Guardians no longer working by the Temple of Time, connects to the theme of loss. The old man speaking about this area and the Temple of Time shows his knowledge about the plateau, displaying his wisdom. The traits that were mentioned about the old man are important to his character as we continue through the analysis. Later, Link hears the voice that awoke him. Link is directed to go to an area where what is known as the Sheikah Tower is located. When Link gets to the tower, he will examine the slot the Sheikah Slate goes before placing it in. He didn't do this before, showing he is now curious. When Link puts the Sheikah Slate into the pedestal, several Sheikah Towers will emerge. Link will hear the voice again soon. He will focus as a beast like smog wraps around Hyrule Castle. The voice informs Link that the beast is going to destroy the world. When Link is down from the tower, the old man appears and talks to Link about what has recently occurred. Soon, he will speak about what happened 100 years ago. He calls the name of the beast Calamity Ganon. 100 years ago, it was the cause of the annihilation of the kingdom of Hyrule. Ganon appeared nowhere suddenly. Towns were destroyed and many citizens' lives were taken away. 100 years ago, up until today, it has stayed halted, haunting Hyrule Castle, the symbol of the kingdom in that form. The old man asks Link if he means to go to the castle. Link is willing to do so, even if he went with the second option. The old man comments on how he knows Link is going to go there. The old man discusses how there is no way down from the plateau. The man tells Link if he tries to jump down, he will hit the ground face on, unless Link has a paraglider like the one he has. He says he isn't going to give it to Link for free. Before the man gives it to him, Link must get a treasure out of what is known as a shrine. Shrines are objectives that can test Link's strength and mind. By the man making a deal with Link and not giving it to him right away, tells us that though he is friendly and peaceful, he is a man with authority. When Link goes through the shrines, it shows how smart he is as a character. By figuring out many complex puzzles, even shrines, focused on testing Link's strength. And though it shows he is strong, it also tells us he is a genius in battle as well. When the shrine is completed, the old man will appear while talking to Link. The man can use the word clairvoyance to explain how he noticed Link had the spirit orb. He states when you grow old, you have it hard to see things before you. However, you become adept at seeing things that are hidden. He then jokes saying, but not everyone can achieve that level of skills, and laughs afterward. Though he is talking about how he noticed the spirit orb, when he defines clairvoyance in his own words, it tells us what he feels it means, showing his mindset. When the man laughs, it displays his joyful nature, which we see in the first conversation with him. In this conversation, we see that he's playful. He finds humor, shown by his laughter, telling Link to go to 3 more shrines, and then he'll give him the paraglider. He made it seem that Link just needed to go to 1 before. The man believes Link can do it. When Link comes out of the final shrine he needs to go to, the old man comes. Link will need to go to the Temple of Time. He will tell Link that he expected no less, showing he knew Link would do good on his quest. He will soon reveal himself to be King Rome Bosphoramus Hyrule, who was the last king of the Kingdom of Hyrule. He told Link 100 years ago the nation was wiped out during the Great Calamity. Back then he lost his life, and now he's become but a soul. Rome felt if he told Link everything, he would be confused due to seeing how his memories were unstable, so he decided to take on a provisional appearance. He then says, "Forgive me." We see how Rome is thoughtful, not wanting things to be too much for Link. He can also be remorseful, asking Link to forgive him for what he had done. Rome will tell Link what happened 100 years ago. The following is the summary. The true identity of Calamity Ganon was a demon king born in the kingdom a very long time ago, which became malice and revived to be what it is. Ganon was narrated as a character that would appear in legends and fairy tales. There was a prophecy by one of the kingdom's seers, saying that there were signs of Calamity Ganon's resurrection in the lands, and the way to stand up to Ganon was in the lands. As the prophecy told them, they excavated. They found relics made by their ancestors from a very long time ago. These were known as the Divine Beasts, 4 giant relics in the form of beasts that could be controlled, along with guardians, mechanical soldiers that could fight against the enemy out of their own will. They perfectly match the legends that were passed down in the nation over a long time, such as a princess with the power of sealing and a knight chosen by the Demon Bane sword. From an extremely long time ago, the princess and the knight fought along with the relics and sealed Ganon. Rome then tells Link, 100 years ago, in his kingdom, there was a princess who was the inheritor of the power, and a brilliant knight. They emulated the battle formation of their ancestors. 4 skilled individuals, selected across Hyrule, were put in charge of controlling the divine beasts. With the princess as their chieftain, they were called heroes. They fortified their union. Having the princess and the 5 heroes gathered, they should have been able to seal the calamity, but it was unsuccessful. Ganon resurrected with a scheme they never imagined. Ganon appeared from deep beneath Hyrule Castle, and by hijacking the Guardians and the Divine Beasts, it then assaulted them. The castle's citizens and the heroes in the Divine Beasts lost their lives. The chosen knight was wounded as he protected the princess and collapsed. The kingdom of Hyrule was destroyed by Calamity Ganon, but the surviving princess defied Ganon on her own. The Calamity 100 years ago plays an essential part in the foundation of the game's narrative. The events continue to show how the theme of loss is deeply engraved in the story of Breath of the Wild. Rome will continue and state, the princess' name is Zelda. She's my daughter. He tells Link, and the knight who protected Zelda until the end, that's you, Link. Though Link was Zelda's knight, to be willing to protect her all the way to that point when he could have feared and only worried about his own life is admirable. Because Rome points out how he protected her until the end indicates that he too feels as admirable. When the king tells Link he was her knight, Link will make a subtle reaction. While the topic is still about Link, the king states, on that day, your fate expired once. When Rome states, on that day, Link looks down. In his eyes, there is a mixture of what can appear as contemplation and sorrow. While Rome continues, he stays looking down, showing the fact that he lost is on his mind. When adding everything together in this scene, the moment can tell us how Link feels guilty. He wasn't successful in the event with the calamity. Link doesn't stay this way for long. When Rome gets to the end of his statement, he returns looking at the king as if nothing is wrong. His actions here tells us that Link can hide how he truly feels. It's a big factor for this version of Link's character. We'll get more information about this as we continue through the analysis in the future. Link will be told that after 100 years, he was finally revived. Rome will state the guiding words Link heard several times since his awakening were Zelda's. She is keeping Ganon at Hyrule Castle. However, her power is about to run out soon. And then, Ganon will completely resurrect, and the nation will be destroyed. Link is looking determined while listening to the king. He takes the situation seriously. The king wants to ask Link a question, but he feels he shouldn't because he couldn't protect his own kingdom. This shows how Rome feels guilt. However, the king asks Link to defeat Ganon, save the citizens, and his daughter. He ends the sentence by saying please. This tells us the king is humble, but also by asking Link for forgiveness, and even feeling he shouldn't ask for Link's help. Within this conversation as a whole, I would like to point out the king's eyes. There are times when they hold sorrow and regret. The king mentioning how Zelda needs help, and pleading to Link to save her, tells us that he cares and is deeply concerned for her well-being. Rome's care for Zelda is important to remember in the story. Rome informs Link that the divine beasts are still in Ganon's hands, and a lot of guardians are moving around Hyrule Castle. The king says it won't be easy for you to reach it right away, so first go to the village to the east. He will tell Link about Impa, who will guide and advise Link. Rome will also mark the location and give Link directions to where she is. While talking to Link, Rome has a subtle smile, revealing his peaceful nature again. Soon, the king will give Link the paraglider. When the quest, the isolated plateau, is complete, if you go into the cabin Rome was staying in on the Great Plateau, another page of his diary will be added. He writes that Link might have been aware of who he was, but he's sorry for hiding it from him. Rome couldn't think of another way to explain things to Link after he awoke from his regenerative slumber. Here, again, we see that the king is thoughtful and remorseful. Rome shows off his playful side once more by stating, "My acting was pretty impressive, was it not?" But then he'll say, jokes aside, he will go over his request again and encourage Link as well. When Link goes to Impa, she will talk to him warmly. She comments on how Link is finally awake and tells him it's been quite some time. Impa will question if he remembers her, but soon she could tell something wasn't right with his memory and will understand it's due to his memory loss. Later in the conversation, she tells Link there's a message Zelda left for him, and the princess risked her life to give it to Link, so Link must risk his life, which he is. Impa will not tell Link Zelda's message until he agrees to do the same. She mentions as well that she won't force Zelda's message on him. Impa is shown to be a courteous and caring person. She is also very knowledgeable, but when she needs to be, she will become direct. Impa believes in strong will by needing Link to agree to risk his life before telling him Zelda's message. This conveys how she is a woman with integrity as well. What Impa says next is important to Link's character. Many may wonder why Link would be willing to face Ganon. People he doesn't even remember just told him to. The reason for this is simply, it's just who he is as a person. Link is someone who believes in justice. It's why he was willing to go to the castle after hearing how Ganon would destroy the world. Even in the adventure log for the main quest, the isolated plateau, it's written to get off of this plateau and head to Hyrule Castle, the voice's origin. Need the parasol that the old man has. The adventure log isn't directly stated to be Link's words. However, because of the way it's written in Japanese, it can be inferred as his thoughts. Link's desire to help is also shown by his willingness to follow King Rome's request in the story. Despite losing his memory, he has not changed. As Impa says, a sense of justice thrusts you forward. This trait of Link is embedded in his character. Impa will tell Link the story of what happened 10,000 years ago, and soon she will give the message Zelda left for him, which is to free the divine beasts, Vah Rudania, Vah Metal, Vah Ruda, and Vah Nuboris. The names of the beasts that were listed set as a path. This is the order we'll follow in the analysis. Impa says, without the force of the divine beasts, it will be extremely difficult to fight against Ganon. She will also say, right into the divine beasts that Ganon stole 100 years ago and regain control of them. Impa will notice that the Sheikah Slate is not complete, and then instructs Link to go to Hetano village, so it can be. This will become his new objective. Impa will tell Link, follow what your heart says and thrust forward. As he continues with each mission, it conveys that this is what he is doing. When Link talks to Purah, she will tell Link that the director is in the back, making it seem like she isn't the director. This conveys how she likes to joke, or play like a child in a way, which fits her current position. We see how much Purah enjoys gaining information, such as asking Link if he had dreams in the slumber of restoration, and questioning him to jog his memory when she sees he is having a hard time remembering her. When Purah sees he doesn't, she stops talking to Link and notes it. Purah says she has a bad habit of suddenly taking a bunch of notes. One thing I would like to mention is when Purah asks Link if he has any questions, the only option that is there is about Purah being a child. This subject is on Link's mind, and he wants to know if she is a kid. Purah had an experiment called an anti-aging room. It was to make Hylian soldiers young again for Calamity Ganon's return. When she tried it, it kept making her younger until she was 6 years old. Purah is willing to restore the Sheikah Slate. Later, she will ask him to run an errand. However, Purah shows that Link expressed a look of disappointment. Purah asked if he thought she would fix it for free. Link didn't want to run the errand. This tells us there are some things Link isn't wanting to do on the adventure, but of course he's willing to. Purah needs the furnace to be lit with the blue flame in town to make the guidance stone work again, for Link to get the utensils the Sheikah Slate needs. After lighting the furnace and placing the Sheikah Slate into the pedestal, several images will appear, and they will be in order. Purah says, you were her escort knight, so you must have gone with her to the shooting spots, right? She mentions how the pictures might be a clue for Link to regain his memories as well. When Link goes back to Kakariko village, Impa wants to see what's on the slate and notices the images. The first image in the group of pictures is what is now called the Sacred Ground Ruins. Impa says if you visit these locations, which are part of her memories, you might be able to restore your memories too. If he can visit at least one of the locations to come back, she has something she wants to give him. For this analysis, I will follow the order of the images. We will start with the picture of the Sacred Ground Ruins. When Link goes there, it no longer resembles the way the image looks. This special site is destroyed. A comparison between the image in the past and how it looks in the present is impactful in showing the severe destruction Calamity Ganon brought to the kingdom. The Sacred Ground Ruins have deep cracks, damaged pathways, and destroyed pillars. The moss etched into the area demonstrates the time that has passed. The Guardians can represent what Ganon took from Hyrule. When we look at the memory of the past, it's a surreal moment because there was beauty and peace. The factors that would show destruction were not present. The characters in the memory do not know what will become of the location and future. They are unaware that Ganon took over the symbol of the kingdom Hyrule Castle, and the beast's malice is currently swirling around it. As Zelda speaks, we can see Link's character kneeling and bowing, showing his dedication to Zelda as her knight. The character Mipha is looking at the scene meekly. The other character, Revali, is uninterested. We will see the character Daruk looking confused and uncomfortable. The final character, Urbosa, watches sympathetically. Urbosa's expression is what one would make when they are aware of a problem someone they care about is going through. As Zelda continues, she will seem hurt and disappointed. Daruk will comment saying how Zelda is acting like it's a grim prospect, revealing to us that Daruk doesn't like to be under something dark or unuplifting. Revali says, "You're one to talk. Weren't you the one who suggested to her, imitate the ancient legend to celebrate his assignment as your escort knight?" Revali's reply, reminding Daruk about what he said, can show how he finds the celebration pointless. He soon states, but nevertheless, when it comes to how to deal with him, I think I'd agree with the princess, considering how Revali seemingly views the celebration for Link as pointless, presenting that he feels it wasn't needed for him. Also, Revali watching with an uninterested expression conveys that he isn't entertained nor happy about Link's celebration. These are factors that would tell us he doesn't like Link. Because he doesn't like Link, for him to think he will agree with Zelda tells us that she isn't very close to him. Urbosa mentions that it can't be helped. She then goes on to say Link is like a symbol of Zelda's complexes. Perplexed, Zelda will look at her hand and then away from Link. So mixed with insecurity, her eyes transmit what can be perceived as dislike. This is even apparent as she looks at Link again. When we get closer to Zelda, her expression could convey that she is upset, in pain, and longing as well, while looking at Link. The ending scene has Zelda looking down in sorrow. When Link returns to Impa, she says that Link came into contact with Zelda's memories. She would then give him the champion's tunic he wore 100 years ago. This is the conclusion of part 1. Because this mission came to an end, where generally Impa isn't telling us to continue, the next area of the story I will be discussing is the heroes, also known as champions, since it was a mission we had before the Captured Memories quest, and by being stated that they needed to be freed, we will see Link start to free the Divine Beast. Now, I would like to give a thanks to the following. The one who made the thumbnail, Hucklo, and the designer for the banner, Neo Designs. Hucklo did an amazing job capturing the beauty, emotion, and theme of Breath of the Wild story in the image. Neo did incredible work with the banner. He grasped all the characters' personalities perfectly. The translators, Cider, Suze, and Impaggles, for the translations in the video. I can't thank them enough for all of their hard work. Ty, who provided the God of War footage. I truly appreciate his help when he did not have to give it to me. And Link, Evan, Glitchy Games, Ike Blue Flames, Mango the Magician, Sid, Cowsider, and everyone who helped with suggestions for the video. I thank you all for your time watching. Until next time.